Hey y'all, it's Nikki. I have to tell you about Tecovas boots. I finally have a pair and they're handmade, high quality, stylish, and comfortable. I even got them customized with leather stamping. The folks at Tecovas will help you find just the right pair. So swing by for yours at the Tecovas flagship on South Congress or their store at the Domain. Plus, good news, they just opened a new store in Georgetown at 709 Main Street for those of y'all that live a little further north. So come shop with me at Tecovas. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all.
Today on CityCast Austin, today is Giving Tuesday, and the Austin American-Statesman just kicked off their season for giving. Now, this project literally changes Austinites' lives, and it has for the past 25 years. Editor Nicole Villalpando is here today to tell us all about it. It's Tuesday, December 3rd. I'm Eva Ruth Moravec, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, everyone. I'm Eva Ruth Moravec, and I'm here today with Nicole Villalpando. And Nicole is an Austin American-Statesman health reporter, but this time of year, she's also very busy as the Season for Caring editor. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, it's great to be here.
So it's Giving Tuesday, and we also happen to be in the middle of the Austin American-Statesman Season for Caring. Why is it important for Austinites to give back?
Well, our community is a varied community. We have people who are doing very, very well, and then we have people who are not doing as well. And so we who are doing okay should be helping other people. When I am reading stories and we're picking up our Season for Caring nominees, we're always impressed with the struggles that people in Austin are going through, from not having enough food in their pantries to not having any transportation, so many medical bills that really put families behind, and just even language acquisition is difficult. Especially if you're coming here as an adult, and we have many people who are in our community now as refugees who need some support. Housing also, we all know, it has gotten to be really, really hard to find something affordable in Austin, and the families that I work with, the nonprofits that I work with, have really been hit hard in the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm. And there are hundreds of those nonprofits here in town. I mean, for a lot of people who might want to be more generous this time of year, but might not know how do you pick from all these hundreds of nonprofits? What's the best advice for Austinites who aren't sure how to give back quite yet?
So my advice, of course, is a little bit, I'm partial to it, but Season for Caring has already done the vetting work for you. We choose nonprofits to partner with that we really feel very secure with. We also are partners with Austin Community Foundation, so we've also vetted these nonprofits through them. We know these are nonprofits where they are going to take the Season for Caring money and use it for as many families as possible. They're going to use it for basic needs. They are not going to put it into salaries or buildings or any kind of overhead. They really are getting this help to families. I encourage people to look up a nonprofit that you're giving to, see how much money is going to overhead, see what the salaries are for the CEOs, and really decide based on, your values. The good thing with Season for Caring is we have 12 different nonprofits, which means that we hit a lot of different issues. We have Any Baby Can, which is dealing with children who have developmental delays or some other health crisis notice that they're dealing with those little bitty babies that need that first hand up. We are dealing with SAFE, which is trying to prevent abuse in our community. We also deal with Meals on Wheels, which tends to be feeding older people or people who have some sort of disability. We also deal with Wonders and Worries, which is a great organization that helps families who have a parent with life-limiting illness. So we're dealing with their children, but also the family as well. So we really are hitting a lot of different organizations, trusted organizations that have been here for a very long time. And believe me, if ever we have an organization that we don't feel is a good fit, or they don't use the money the way that we want them to use it, they don't get asked back. So just being invited to nominate for Season for Caring means that you're a trusted agency.
So tell us about Season for Caring. What is it? How does it work?
So we started Season for Caring in 1999. And since then, we have raised over $20 million to help our local nonprofits. The way that Season for Caring works is first we choose the nonprofits who are invited to nominate families. They can nominate up to 3 families. We do all of the background checks. I watch their social media. I go to the courthouses, or now it's all electronic, to make sure that nobody has done anything crazy, and that we can trust these families. And then we tell their family story. We put video and photos, and we write stories about each family, and then we invite the public to give. So each family has a wish list. They also have an Amazon registry or wish list, depending on which way the agency set it up. So you can buy physical items, you can give physical items or services, or you can give a donation. All the monetary donations go through Austin Community Foundation. And then the really cool thing is, yes, we take care of those 12 families for that year, and they get most of the things that are on their wish list.
Wow.
But we're giving each of these agencies usually over $100,000. So they use a significant amount of that money to help their other clients throughout the year. We pay a lot of rent. We give a lot of bus passes. We make sure utilities are still on. A lot of HEB gift certificates or gift cards go into families. We pay a lot of medical bills. So while you might see 12 families or individuals that represent 12 different agencies, we are actually helping hundreds of families just like them throughout the year.
So does that mean that those families' lists they're covered and then some? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So what we do is we have the agency talk to the family about what are our must-haves, this would be amazing if this happens, and what is if someone donates it, yes, it's going to happen, but we're not going to spend money on it. So we kind of prioritize their wish list. Some families will get their entire wish list taken care of by the community.
Wow.
We have a middle school in the Round Rock School District that every year adopts a family, and those kids are amazing.
That's so cool.
$15,000 worth of gift cards and everything that family could need, clothing, towels, presents for Christmas. And so that family, they don't need the money. So then that agency gets to use so much of the money for other families.
Wow.
Some families have things on their wish list that are not things that you can buy, right? We need a service like an immigration lawyer, or we need help with medical debt. So the agency is then going to write those bills using the Season for Caring money. And then once those are taken care of, they're going to help as many of their families throughout the year.
How many applicants do you have, and how hard is that process for you?
We usually have about 30.
And they're going for 12 spots?
They're going for 12 spots.
Okay.
It takes the right person. It takes a person who is going to be able to be comfortable being photographed, telling their story. And it takes a person that the agency really, really knows very well. So that limits it as far as how many people the agencies even have available that would make sense for that. I invite about 5 or 6 reporters, a couple of photographers. We get in a room and we read these applications, and we literally on a Post-it note say yes, no, or maybe. And then I take all the yeses and I take the maybes, and, we make a list, and then we narrow it down. And sometimes it comes down to voting. And sometimes it's very clear cut. The hard thing is that a lot of times the really great agencies, they have 3 amazing applications, and it's hard to only pick one. But we try our best to get 12 different agencies. Occasionally we've had to double up. This year we didn't need to. And sometimes, what happens is we'll have a family apply one year and not get it, and then they reapply and they'll get it. We have 2 of those this year, and it really wasn't that there was anything wrong with their application. It was just the competition was so stiff that we went another direction. And then later, I was talking to our photo editor, and both of us had a family that we thought, we should have chosen.
Oh my God.
It kind of killed us that we didn't choose that family, but we got to choose them this year. So that was exciting.
That must weigh on everyone, the ones that you can't choose.
It does, because we know if you get chosen to be part of Season for Caring, you're going to have not only just amazing Christmas, but you're going to get an opportunity that you would not get otherwise. We've have currently a lot of last year's families. They have somebody who is in school right now, learning how to be a chef, learning how to be a nurse, right? We have people whose lives are going to be changed because they're getting access to an education they didn't have before, or because we have made it possible for them to take some time off and do school and still be able to pay the rent for that year.
That's amazing. Okay, so tell us who some of your favorites. I know you probably can't pick favorites, but who should we know about this year?
Well, of course it's hard. So some of the families from this year, we have Carlos. He's lived in Austin his entire life. In 2018, he was in a boating accident where a boat ran over his boat, and he lost his right arm and his right leg.
Oh my goodness.
Right. He has a lot of needs, and he's with Meals on Wheels, and we're on track to make some really amazing things happen for him.
That's awesome.
Then we have an amazing teacher and cheerleading coach, and he just got the news that his lymphoma is back.
Oh my gosh.
For the 4th time. He hasn't been able to work these last couple of years on a full-time basis, so he's working part-time. Because of that, he lost his car because he couldn't keep up with the payments. So now he's having to commute from Bee Cave to Del Valley without a car, which means he's trying to borrow a car from a friend, or he's using rideshare, and we all know how expensive that can be. And so we're really hoping that for him, we can't take away the cancer, but can we get him a car?
Yeah.
Can we give the down payment and buy a used car for him? And that way he doesn't have to, that's one thing he won't have to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing.
I love that you're kind of going after the need. A lot of times with nonprofits, they're, confined to only paying for whatever their board, whatever the programs are that their board has sort of figured out. But this is they just need a car. They just need,
right.
Mom just needs her rent paid so she can spend time with her kids, which not a lot of organizations have that kind of monetary flexibility, right?
Right. So Season for Caring really becomes the emergency fund for these nonprofits. One of the things that the nonprofits have consistently told us is how much they value Season for Caring, because the only restriction is that it has to be direct support for a client. It can't go to their overhead, right? It can't go to salaries. But that opens up a lot of things. We've purchased graduation gowns for a family who couldn't afford their kids' graduation gown. We have covered all kinds of life events. Mainly, it's a lot of rent, it's a lot of utilities, it's a lot of bills being paid. But the good thing about Season for Caring is you don't have a whole lot of restrictions. So if there's something that a family needs, that there's no other program that is going to allow them to use that money for that. We can make that happen.
Yeah.
Yes, you'll see some dreams on the wish list, like some things that families would love to happen, like a vacation. But really, if that happens, it's great. But we're focusing really on most of the basic needs and just clothing your children, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Our kids need shoes and they should get shoes. And so we do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the Better Way to get your blood tested in Austin? Better Way is a new Austin startup that's reimagining blood testing to make it friendly, convenient, and affordable. You might have seen it in the Wall Street Journal, NPR, and Texas Monthly. Now, instead of big vials of blood from your arm, it's a very small sample from your fingertip. It's a great alternative if you have issues with traditional blood draws. You can order for yourself or through your doctor. It's available at local pharmacies like H-E-B, People's, and Lake Hills. It's super convenient with evening and weekend times, and prices start just at $15. The samples go to the lab here in Austin, and you get a report sent to your phone in 1 to 2 days with easy-to-understand results. If it's been a while since your last blood test, or you just want to check in on your health, get 20% off of your first order with code CITY@betterway.com. That's CITY, C-I-T-Y, at betterway.com.
I'm curious about, over these past 25 years, how you kind of see the needs of Austinites reflected in who's applying, the nonprofits that are getting involved. What can you tell us about, like, looking back over time, how those needs may or may not have changed?
The interesting thing is, in some ways, the needs haven't changed that much. It still is a lot of rent and a lot of basic needs. But what I see a lot of is a lot more need for transportation and housing. And part of that need for transportation is that an affordable place is really hard to find in Austin. So we have families who are living further out. They're not on the bus line. And so then what do you do when your car breaks down or your car gets repossessed because you just could not make the payment? Then we have a whole other problem of now we need transportation to be able to go to work. So I see a lot of that. I see families just having trouble finding any kind of an apartment of any kind of size for their family in Austin. It's becoming more and more difficult. I've also seen we've had medical issues. This year it happens to be our cancer year. We just have a lot of cancer in these stories. And, the families are amazing. First of all, they're putting their story out there, right, for everyone to read that will be online for forever.
And a lot of people can't even, have such a hard time with just asking for help.
Right.
Like, that's a lot for people to go through.
And what's really cool about, having been involved with this program for 25 years is because I see who's donating through a portal. I sometimes see past Season for Caring applicants.
Oh my gosh.
Who are now giving back to Season for Caring. In fact, we had a really cool story where one of our past recipients was able to sell for a really reasonable price a food trailer to a last year's recipient because he no longer needed that food trailer and because he had moved on in the world and was doing other things. And, it all comes back around. I see families where, they will hit the Amazon link and give to somebody else. Sometimes I actually see this year's recipients giving to other recipients. And I'm like, no, we're trying to help you. But
wow,
it's really nice. And when I meet the families, they are so grateful. And then I get to call them a year from now, and just the way that they have been able to have a year where they could breathe. Gratitude isn't even the word. There's a lot of crying on the end of those phone calls of happy tears and where they got to.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that you bring up some of the past recipients giving money because it's like it kind of encourages people in Austin to take care of each other. What is what does this whole thing mean for the community, for Austinites? What's the impact?
Well, I can tell you that every year, the thing that the past recipients tell me is I didn't know there were so many people who cared about me, that they got a chance to see that they were not the only ones out there, right? That their struggle was seen, was heard, and then people acted on it. So that, in many ways, is more valuable than the money. The money's great because the money can buy a lot of things that they couldn't buy, but that feeling of people care is huge. And our community, sometimes we don't talk to each other face to face anymore, and we don't recognize each other. We don't make eye contact. For these families to know that there are people out there that care about them, there are people out there who clicked on a button and sent them some socks for their baby. I mean, that makes such a huge difference emotionally to them.
Do you see our big Austin celebrities in the portal? Are like who's giving back? Who's getting involved?
Sometimes I do. I mean, I've definitely seen some of our city council people and mayors, and I've seen that. I've seen some celebrities.
We could see more.
We could definitely see more. Matthew McConaughey, come on. We could see more. But each person decides how they're going to make a difference in the world. And a lot of our celebrities have their own foundation, so they feel like,
right,
I've got it.
Yeah.
But it's really nice sometimes when I will see names that I recognize. They're not just my friends, obviously, but I'll see names that I recognize, and it's nice to know that they're giving back too.
Yeah. And then, I mean, in order to do all of this work, tell these 12 stories, it's not just you. I mean, I know that is a lot of what you have to what you're working on these months, but tell us what the whole Statesman staff, how they're all involved in this, and, why this is so important for the city's daily newspaper to take on every year.
Well, we can't do this if it doesn't involve having 12 reporters willing to take on another assignment. And having the photographers who, when we shoot these photos, it's in October, which is a really tough time for journalists because we've got ACL, we've got Texas Book Fest is coming up. We have all the UT sports that are happening.
Yep.
F1. It's like the worst time to say, okay, let's do some philanthropy too.
Let's go inside while everything is happening everywhere in Austin.
Right. But we make it work. We schedule the photos. We schedule the interviews around all of our other things that we need to do. We get advertising involved in that, we run ads that run every day with a coupon so you can give. We just really, it's the whole newsroom production. Even if a reporter doesn't choose to participate, it means that they're having to write other stories because I'm not writing as much, or one of the other reporters isn't writing as much. So, it takes a whole village to make this thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
It also allows us the chance to talk about communities that we wouldn't necessarily always get a chance to talk about. Like, we get to talk about people who have a developmental difference. We get to talk about people who have come here from Venezuela, Honduras, Mexico. Sometimes when we talk about immigration issues, we lose why people are coming here, why it's important to be a safe haven here. So Season for Caring allows us to really talk about the needs. It also allows us to talk, I'm the health journalist, but this is a great way for me to talk about that insurance doesn't cover anything, that you can easily become bankrupt because of a health issue, or like the teacher in Del Valle who lost his car because he couldn't keep up with payments. Like that happens to people all the time.
Yeah.
This is a way for us to talk about that.
Yeah. Sometimes we feel like we need something structured like Season for Caring or Giving Tuesday in order to give back. Why do we need those things? Why can't we just be philanthropic all the time?
Well, you can be a philanthropic all the time. We do have people who make a monthly donation to Season for Caring because just because really you hear about it from November, December, January doesn't mean that you can't give throughout the year. Season for Caring, though, I don't know that it would work at any other time of the year. This is the time where people open up their hearts and they feel they're taking stock of what they have and the year that they've had. And this is a chance for them to give back in a way. And there's lots of ways to give back with Season for Caring. You can give an item on a wish list. You can give a service, like we need a plumber. You can buy something on Amazon. You can eat at P. Terry's on December 14th. You can go to the Driscoll and buy an ornament and it'll donate to Season for Caring. You can buy the Cookies for Caring tin at the Driscoll. We have a lot of different ways that you can support this effort and know that it's going to go to hundreds of families in our community through 12 very trusted nonprofits.
Nice. And the stories have already begun. People can find them all on the Statesman's website and also in the pages of the newspaper from now until Christmas.
There will be a daily story through January 1st, and then you'll see update stories in January, February. Whenever there needs to be an update, we'll do another story. But they can find all the stories at statesman.com/Season for Caring. Every story has a link to donate. So it's, you click on it and you choose, do you want to give to the general fund? Do you want to give to a specific family? Multiple families? It's your choice.
And I'm sure as a journalist, you prefer to not have to answer a question like this, but what does it mean for you to be involved in a project like this? Like, what does Season for Caring mean for you?
Season for Caring gives me hope in humanity, honestly. Whenever I'm thinking, I just don't know, what does this world become? And then I'll see somebody give something amazing to a family. Some of the most touching stories are when a kid will give his allowance to another kid like that. Like, it just, it gets you, right? Like, you have complete faith in humanity that people are good and they want to help. And getting to talk to families a year afterwards about where they are and how much of a difference we have made is amazing. It fills my cup. I don't know that I would have stayed in journalism if there wasn't this program, because honestly, in journalism, and especially now that I'm the health reporter, I write a lot about how people die, right? But Season for Caring is like, it's all positivity. Even when somebody passes away, I think about the difference that I made and my colleagues made and the community made in their life in those last weeks because they had Season for Caring. It ends up all being really special.
Oh, and how many years have you been doing it?
So I was part of the original team that started it. I've only taken 1 year off because I had to give birth to my daughter. But I've been the editor since 2009.
Wow. Well, Nicole, it's amazing what y'all are doing at the Season for Caring. And what do we have a goal amount for this year, or?
Well, right now we have a $500,000 matching grant from the Sheth family. So my goal always is to make sure we make that match.
Yes.
We've been hitting the 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. The most we've ever hit is 1.75. As long as we are over the million mark, everything else is amazing. And I love to see those numbers grow.
Awesome. Thanks again, Nicole, for your time and for doing what you do. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. We'll have a link to Season for Caring in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. Nikki will be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.